Hey, beautiful soul. Welcome in for another episode of Spirit Speakeasy. This week, I've got a little something different in store for you. This is going to be a special episode where we are going to catch up. I'm going to do some personal shares, which you guys know I don't often do, and I'm going to share some really exciting news. So I'm going to give you some updates on what's been going on with me. I know we've all had quite a summer, and I've posted a couple best of episodes recently. So I wanted to give you the updates on what's been going on. So many of you have been asking. I'm going to share which tools are working for me right now in my own personal development and spiritual development. I'm going to share a spirit story of a sign, like an experience, a recent mystical experience that I had personally with one of my own loved ones, a little hello from the spirit world, and an exciting share of something that I have been cooking up for a while that is finally ready. So we're just going to dive in. This is a little bit more of a casual episode, and I don't do seasons on this podcast, but I'm kind of considering this like the kickoff of a new season if we did them. I have some really exciting guest episodes coming up as well. So let's start with my personal life since you guys seem to want to know about what's been going on with me. If you've been listening to the pod for any length of time, you might already know that one of the things I've been intentionally focusing time and attention on this year is cultivating friendships and deeper bonds with the amazing souls in my life, my friends. I believe that friends are the family that we choose for ourselves, and I have been working on consistently and regularly getting together with each of my small group of friends. The local ones, I've also been trying to bring them together a little bit more to create a little bit more of a, small community or safe friendships for the people that I care about in my lives. I know this might sound ridiculous, but as a grown person who's running a business, it just sometimes feels challenging to get to all the things we want to do. And then sometimes when we have an off day, for me anyway, my kids are grown, as you guys know, I just want to check out and rest sometimes. So it really has been an intentional effort and making sure we have dates on the calendar to do things together and things coming up and intentionally checking in. So that's one of the things I've been working on this year, cultivating in the garden of my life. And as one of those things, some of you know I had a mini staycation with my bestie this year. We really decided, we've been friends for I think almost 30 years at this point, and many years we were kind of long distance best friends. We lived together at one point early on in our friendship, and then many years ago my bestie moved to Las Vegas, so she lives there. And I get to see her once in a blue moon. There's been times where I took the kids there. I went to see her when she had her triplets. They're teenagers now. But many years, even though we talk most days, it was really tough for us to get together and see each other in person. So that's something a few years ago, actually, those of you that have been with the pod a really long time, remember when I went to New Orleans. That was kind of our first annual besties trip. And the last couple years, she's come from Vegas to visit me in San Diego, and we get into some shenanigans here. So as I've been really thinking about the relationships that are important to me and the friendships that have become family for me, I really wanted to do it a little special for her this year. So I designed some special cocktails for our trip. I got us these matching muumuus, which are really like house robe type things because we like to lounge around. She does still have kids at home and teenagers. She has 5 kids altogether who are all amazing people in the world, but she needed a little bit of downtime as well. We had Comic-Con here, so we did go out and explore a little bit. We went to the zoo. We just had some chill time and we talked and bonded like we always do. And so that is more or less what has gone on in my summer in my personal life. It's been a lot of focus on mediumship and some exciting things that I'm creating, which I'm going to talk about in just a few minutes. I guess also on the personal side, as a mom, I really, it's such an interesting thing because I had my kids really young. As many of you know, I was 20 when my son was born, and my first one, and 22 when I had the second one, and now they're adults. And as a mom, I've been really working on not letting my own anxiety take over when the kids have something that's popping up for them in their lives. For my kids, I've really come to learn that some of it is me showing up as the kind of mom that I really want to be. So that's something I'm always working on, how I'm showing up and how I'm engaging. And yeah, I'm just really always fine tuning, working on myself in that way. But I think the bigger part of it with my kids anyway is me trying to also be the mom that they each need me to be. They're very different people. They have very different boundaries and expectations and needs. And each of them has grown so much just in the past couple of years alone. But as most of us know, if you deal with any young people in your life, if you have kids or know young people, all growth happens outside of the comfort zone for all of us. So while they both have a ton to be proud of, they've each had some really significant growth periods as well. And I think it's, they're learning in their lives, but it's been a learning and growing experience for me too, to try to show up in the ways that really actually helps them or what they actually need. I do tend to be a bit of a fixer in my life, so I sometimes want to spring into action with ideas and solutions, and that's just not always what they need. Are you guys experiencing this at all in your life? Maybe someone that you've had a really long relationship with and you're needing to adjust who you need to be in that relationship based on their needs as well. Let me know. I know some of you have even teenage kids is when this starts to happen, really. So that's also something I've been working on. I'm always working on myself, as most of you know. And in my personal life, the other thing I've really been working on is refocusing on my own health and wellness. I am trying to make sure to get those things in: doctor visits and mammograms. Schedule your mammograms, folks. I know we're not quite at Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October, but hey, friendly reminder. I'm also thinking of doing some vaccines that I need for potential international travel. I've been refocusing on my nutrition and trying to get that dialed in. I don't share a lot about this, but I have a condition that's called ulcerative colitis as one of the few things going on in my body, which essentially means lots of tummy issues. So while there are a lot of things on my restricted list that I can't have, I also want to make sure I'm getting, nobody's getting younger, enough protein, enough nutrients, all the things I need. So I'm working on that. I know many of us are always working on that. And I'm also working on moving my physical body with the longer term intention of building strength and stamina. Right now, it's been very calm workouts, a little bit of mat Pilates, and definitely not enough cardio. But I do know, as many of us know, it's something important that's in our awareness is we need to be taking care of our physical bodies and health and longevity and wellness, whatever that means for you right where you are. I think that's the other thing that I've really worked on over these last few years is some of you know there was a time in my life where I was really active and really fit, and my work leaned more towards the fitness world and all of that, let's just say. And then I have a condition that affects my lungs, and so maybe I'll tell the whole story of that if you guys ever want to hear it. Let me know. But it really changed everything about my physical body: what works, what doesn't work, what I can do, what is something I'm working towards doing again. So I have really learned over and over again the importance of working with our bodies where we are in any given moment, because my body can just go into a crazy flare up, sometimes seemingly for like no reason. Maybe I've had a little too much, of something tasty or something my body doesn't like that I really like, or maybe I haven't, exercised for a while. So it's really just working with our bodies in the way we can where we are right now, right? So that's also something that I'm working on and working on. This is maybe like a very like meta thing for me, but working on how do I work on my nutrition and my physicality in a way that doesn't feel punishing to me. Because when I was in fitness and acting and all of that, the amount of what I needed to do to look the way I needed to look felt punishing all the time. So I'm working on the emotions around that too. On the personal spiritual side, more of like what I'm working on. I know many of you seem to like when I share the things I'm working on or the tools that are working for me. I'm always expanding and focusing on my mediumship, deepening it, expanding it, understanding more. It's an art, not a science, as many of you know, these mystical arts. The most basic maintenance for mediumship is meditation, personal evaluation of my own work, personal evaluation of myself, which I feel like I'm always doing, my emotions, basically trying to make sure I'm regularly like checking myself and doing some version of personal development, which I think we all should be doing. I'm always doing personal personal development. It's never done. We're always growing and changing, and the world's always changing, and things are always getting thrown at us, right? Sometimes things that feel positive and sometimes things that feel challenging. So I feel like it's so important to continue that personal development. At this point, I don't know if many of you can resonate with this. I think a lot of you probably can. At this point in my life, I sort of know the main themes that I'm usually working on as a person. If I'm having resistance or if I'm feeling some challenging emotions, often it kind of whittles down to one of the same few themes over the course of my life after these 47 years, it seems like. And the truth is, a lot of you guys maybe don't know this about me. I'm being challenged to grow all the time as a person, like all of us. And I tend to react more anxiously in most ways. I tend to just be a little bit more of an anxious person for lots of reasons that I'm always working on. So I also really am always working with that anxious feeling, that underlying anxiety. Sometimes my first reaction or response or emotion that rises up is resistance or is like, no, I want to push away. So often I know that comes from an anxious place, and I'm always working on that. So how are you guys doing with your anxiety? I know a lot of us tend to lean anxiously. And there's, of course, a lot to unpack around that, which we're not going to do today. But let me know if you guys ever want to have a talk about anxiety, and we can really talk about it and unpack it. And for me, the thing that works the most with my anxiety right now, it's often mental, but it can come into my physical body, which then really, as you might imagine, upsets my whole system, as it does for most of us. And that I find myself really uncomfortable. But really, some of it is about pausing. It's about asking myself, like, what's true in any situation? Am I making a situation bigger? The potential of like what could go wrong, for example, am I making that bigger than it actually is? Am I looking at things realistically? Is it the voice of my anxiety that's getting me wound up, or is it something realistic that I need to be concerned about or need to take a look at, for example? So that is something I'm always working on in my own personal development. And like many people, I deal with fears and resistance that rise up all the time. I'm going to give a quick little example just so you can see how for me it rises up even in very small ways, which is probably true for you. I know a lot of people can be shocked to hear that because sometimes people think like, oh, as a spiritual practitioner, I'm sure you've got all this dialed in already and you're supposed to be psychic, and why don't you know that everything is going to be okay? And on some level, I'm sure I do know that. But this human experience is wild, y'all. So I feel like that's probably why it lingers. I might have an opportunity in the spring, close to summer, to visit a friend abroad. And I've looked, I have enough miles to go. I could carve out the time this far in advance to go, but I'm feeling really anxious about even the idea of this big, long trip. It's far, which is fine. And I did a lot of work kind of thinking about it, looking at it, really digging into like, why am I anxious? I love to travel. I always have thought of myself as a world traveler and a person who wants to travel. Maybe I haven't gotten to do it for several years. And there was a time in my life when the kids were growing up where I couldn't afford it. But now it's the perfect time. My kids are grown. I'm on my own. I make my own rules. I got the miles to cover the flight. So I've really been working the energy of like, why am I in resistance? Is it that I don't want to go? And I actually do. Right now, what I've come to is that I'm a little nervous to be so far away from my kiddos. They have friends and people that care about them, of course, but I'm in a lot of ways, I'm the family member that they have that shows up. So I'm working the energy of it. I'm going to talk to both the kids and because they might not have anything about it at all. This might be something I'm creating as anxious worry in my own mind that is really not necessary. So TBD on that. I will let you guys know if it comes to fruition or if the plans start getting made. I will definitely let you know because it's something I really, really would want to share with you guys if it comes to fruition. Okay, there's just a couple more things I want to talk about in this catch up. I do want to share a story with you guys of a recent mystical experience that I have. And then I'm going to tell you some questions that are helping me right now as I like evaluate situations and anxieties that come up in my life. And then I'm going to share something really exciting with you that I have been working so hard on that's been consuming a lot of my time and energy. So first, fun story. This is about an instance because a lot of times people will ask me, oh, you must be aware of your loved ones all the time. You must feel them around all the time. And I do in light ways here and there, but I don't have a lot of conscious, like maybe I'll see a little sign, a little hello from them in passing. Maybe I'll see like a number on the clock or a receipt or license plate, or maybe I'll get the butterflies or whatever it is that I have for different people. But a mystical experience happened recently, and I want to share it because I feel like it's such a good example of how, in the very mundane day to day things we're doing, our spirit people can just use the opportunity to really make an impact. And it's so subtle that we could miss it. So I hope you'll like this little story I'm about to tell you. It's a little strange, maybe. I have a loved one on the other side that passed away in November. I was working on an episode where of the podcast, actually writing. You guys know I write the episodes, and sometimes there's research, and it takes me quite a while to put all the notes together. And I was working on an upcoming episode, actually, where we talk about signs and personalities from the other side. And I had some music in the background, and I keep this playlist of just songs that I like. There's over 300 songs on this playlist at this point, from like totally different genres across different time periods. And as I was editing and working on this episode, I was dancing in my chair and very fidgety. I, from time to time, maybe like every 15 minutes or so, stand up and stretch and sit back down and move all around. And I'm very wiggly in my chair. And as I was working, all of a sudden the thought started coming in that I don't know how people would receive watching me do this. And I just thought how funny it is, thinking that I know people think spiritual workers are so like peaceful and everything we do is very zen and you know, should be just still and quiet and calm. And I was thinking how funny it might be if I did like a time lapse video. If you see creators do those, of how hard of a time I have sitting still when I work on the computer. Like I don't sit still at all. But as I was doing that, I was thinking like, okay, actually, if I did that time lapse video, it might be really embarrassing if anyone saw how crazy I work. And that I don't know if anyone would want to see like that weird, quirky side of me. Because if I'm sitting to write for like 2 hours, let's say, I'm up probably 20 times at least. So as I'm processing all that, and all of that happened within the span of like just a couple minutes, right? As your mind's rolling and you're thinking, and I'm realizing I'm fidgeting all around. And at that moment, I was writing a part of a social media clip that said, drop the initials of a person on the other side that comes to mind right now in this moment. And all of a sudden the song switched and a song came on that's called Blackbird. It's originally by the Beatles, but this is a very special, significant song, which let me know that this special someone who I love very much is nearby. I like the song. And it's a powerful song. And I really could almost hear the sound of this person's squeaky little voice right in my mind, just as, just like the song, she is powerful. But I got up from my place at the table where I was working, and I immediately walked over to the window. And for some reason in this moment, I was just really moved by her presence and the way that song just clicked on. And I started crying a little. I started tearing up, and I could feel her gentle, loving presence, and like bubbles in a soda, kind of like little memories started just popping into my mind that she and I shared. And I sometimes tell my clients this: one of the ways our loved ones communicate with us is we usually have our group of go-to memories that we think about when we think of someone, and they can sometimes just like little bubbles pull these memories up to the surface that we hadn't thought about in a really long time. And that's what started happening. And I knew it was her because she and I shared some very special memories. For example, I realized that she was one of the few people in my life who had spent a significant time around me when I was pregnant with my younger daughter, and knew me as a very young mom. I very few people in my life now knew me at that phase. My bestie knew me at that phase in my life. And she got to see parts of me in a vulnerable and intimate way that so few people have gotten to see, or that I've shared with so few people. And I remembered her little spunky attitude, that she things that she would often say. And she and I were just very similar in some ways. And just as a song, started to, I was thinking about how cool it was, how cool it was that day. I'd been trying to think of an example for like my own sign, right? And I was thinking like, oh, how cool that I'm sitting here trying to think an example of a sign that I've gotten from a loved one. And now all of a sudden this experience is happening. And how cool was that? So that's kind of what I was thinking of. And I just hadn't been able to think of anything earlier, like racking my brain for like, oh my gosh, come on, I have to have a sign to share with people for this upcoming episode. And then I was thinking how funny it was that all of a sudden this mystical moment started to happen, and how in the world was I going to convey this in a way that made sense of how emotional and meaningful it was for me? Because it sounds like, okay, Joy, a song came on and now you're crying and like you're making this thing up, but it's the feeling that comes along with it, and these memories and this train of thought that I wasn't expecting at all. And as this moment was happening, I was thinking like, yeah, how in the world am I going to convey this? And like why it was so emotional to me. And I was thinking sometimes as a medium, I might explain things that because other people are not accustomed to hearing it that way, or not accustomed to these experiences, it might make it harder to understand for someone that's like a non-medium or not in this spiritual work. And I was just thinking about my mediumship and, wondering, maybe it is a little different for me in some ways because I have just more like a bigger group of experiences. And I was thinking about how sometimes I can feel other people's spirit people. And so I just started thinking about my mediumship. And this is all in the span of like 3 or 4 minutes. And then all of a sudden, the song shifts to, you guys might know this song. All of a sudden, it's quiet. And then it says, "Psst, I see dead people." And I immediately burst into laughter. This is that Kendrick Lamar song for those that don't know, but that's how it starts. And it just, the moment that it came in and the way the song changed, and I could still feel this lovely lady next to me, I just burst into laughter. And I remembered again this woman's soft and very witty sense of humor. And I was thinking how perfect, because the episode I was editing was about the little ways people still have their sense of humor. And I know that since I was crying, she definitely would want to make me laugh and break that tough, sentimental moment of energy. And I just thought it was, I guess maybe you had to be there. Let me know if this is making sense to you guys in the way I'm conveying it. I feel like these mystical experiences are so hard to convey because it just is the way the moment unfolds. And, it just was really meaningful for me. And I thought it was kind of hilarious because there I am, crying and having this very like pensive, poignant moment. And then all of a sudden, psst, I see dead people, which is really hilarious. And she didn't get to know me at this time in my life when I'm a medium. So even more funny. So that is my little mystical experience, and often how it works for me with my own loved ones in the spirit world. It'll just be such a fleeting moment, something really special and meaningful and mystical for me that, as you see when I try to articulate it, may or may not sound as profound and meaningful as it was for me. Okay, moving on. Now I want to tell you the questions that have been helping me the most right now, because all of us have so many things happening in our world. We're being challenged as people ourselves, in our emotions, in our beliefs, in our patterns. Often we just have really tough things. We have families and jobs and communities and all of these things. So I often have a group of questions that works for me as I'm doing my own processing day to day. I'm going to give you a few of them, and then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about something exciting that's going on. So, a few of the questions that have been helping me the most right now are things like, what's my highest intention in this situation? Like I was saying with the kids, I often am thinking about, okay, what's going to be the best? Those of you that have kids or young people in your life, anywhere from like 12 and over, all the way to like full, 90 years old. Sometimes the way we approach the people closest to us, especially our own kids or our own young people that we love, we have to be very careful. We could take the whole situation in a totally left field direction just by approaching it in an energy that they don't receive. So I'm often thinking about, when I'm greeting situations, conversations, how I want to handle a situation, how I want to offer my help or what I can do. Really, the go-to question for me is, what's my highest intention in this situation? And then I can work from there. And who do I want to show up as? I think about future me, the person I'm growing into, the person I'm living into to be. Who do I want to show up as? Because sometimes when things are hard, I think we all can show up as maybe older, less healed versions of ourselves, right? If we just spring into reaction instead of thinking about, all right, who do I want to show up as right now in this conversation? Yeah. The other thing I mentioned earlier, what's true? I ask myself that often. It really does help with my anxiety because my mind can get spinning and go down the thought train of tons of different scenarios, right? I can even sometimes be making up the response of other people and how they might respond or what might happen. And it's great to pause and say, is that true? Is that true? Do you know for sure that that person's going to react like that or that that's what the situation is going to bring about? So that's a really powerful question. And the last question I want to give you that I often work with is what's the emotion underneath? Because sometimes the first emotion we're aware of is our like reactionary emotion: angry, annoyed, frustrated, super excited. So it's that emotion that might come first. But really, I'm always whittling down at like, what's the emotion underneath? I teach different versions of this. But for example, someone that like gets offered to give a public speech to, let's say, a community that they're a part of, and it's a big deal that they're getting to like give this little talk or this speech, and maybe you're feeling resistant to public speaking and your immediate reaction is like, nope, I don't want to do that. Well, it could be something like actually a fear of failure or a fear of judgment or a fear of being seen or self-doubt. It doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, I just don't have time or, oh, I just don't like speaking or, oh, I just don't want to do it. Like, why? What's the reason underneath? Because as you evaluate those reasons, one, we learn more about ourselves. Two, you might find you don't even believe some of those things anymore. Like maybe many years ago you had a fear of being seen, but maybe now as you realize it, you realize like, oh, actually, I don't have a fear of being seen. I can do this talk. So that's just the gist of looking at what's the emotion underneath. I want to talk to you a little bit about what's going on in my work. This is very exciting. So I'm always, like I said, working on deepening my mediumship, and that is such a big part of my expression and who I am. But I also have been working on building some new courses and workshops and hopefully some in-person events before the end of the year in San Diego for those of you that are local. For now, for a while, I have been crafting this very special offering. It's my method, is what I want to say. You may have seen the ads if you're on any of my social media, if you follow me at all, or even if you don't. I know people are seeing the ads. So I've created this mini course. It's called the Right Decision Mini Course. It's a simple, proven method to tap into your most powerful strategic tool, which is your intuition. So you can make clear, confident choices and create extraordinary outcomes in your work, in your personal life, even in uncertain times, which, let's be real, this world's a little chaotic in good times, and right now even more chaotic. So I kind of feel like I've been working on this mini course for a few years. These are some of the most foundational tools. These are the tools I use in my life to get right straight into my intuition. The truth is, in this world that we're in right now, the rules keep changing and pressure keeps building. And for me, and I think probably for a lot of us, the stakes have never felt higher. Like, could someone just please hand us a map and a snack and give us a nap? 1 minute we're on fire, full of ideas, momentum, things are cracking right along. And the next minute we feel like we want to like curl up with our third cup of coffee, second guessing everything. Is this happening for you? I feel like it's happening for a lot of us. And so I've been thinking, what is the method? What are the base set of tools that I feel like everyone should have to tap into their intuition? So that's really what I have created. I, in this mini course, walk you through these video trainings where I take you through the exact 3-step method that I use not only with my private clients, but for myself and my own life over many, many more than 10 years. I want to say 13, 14 years at this point, maybe. You will get in this mini course the Decision Ready guided process, which are guided audio sessions, and they are a go-to tool for resetting your energy, reconnecting with your intuition whenever you need it most. You get the Right Decision playbook, which helps you make the right decision every time. It's a go-to tool for tuning into your intuition, making confident, soul-aligned choices in life, in love, in business. And you will find the exact step-by-step process in this course to get grounded, craft the right question to receive answers from your intuition, and receive crystal clear answers from your soul. There's an answer on demand process, which is a guided session to help you quickly and easily connect to the guidance that's already waiting for you. We all have our inner guidance system waiting for us. It's just about learning how to tap into it. You're going to get a clarity logbook, which is not just a journal. It is a personalized tool for building intuitive confidence on repeat. It's one thing to do something once. It's another thing to be able to recreate the results for yourself. So in this clarity logbook, you can track your aligned questions, the guidance you receive, the real life results that follow. So you can see exactly how your intuition leads to better decisions, faster wins, more aligned outcomes in life, in business, in whatever you're facing. Plus, right now, when people enroll, you get these awesome bonuses, which are only going to be available for a limited time. There's 3 bonuses: intuition versus fear, and how to tell the difference. If you've ever wondered, is this a soul nudge? Am I just scared? That's the training for you. It's less than 15 minutes, and it walks you through the key differences between intuition and fear, and the subtle ways fear disguises itself and kind of lets us get tricked. That bonus alone can really help you make any decision moving forward. Plus, you get the what if I get nothing flow chart, because I feel like that's such a common thing for people. What if I don't get anything? What if my intuition doesn't work? So let's be honest, sometimes the answer doesn't come easily or right away. So it doesn't mean that we're blocked or broken. It means that we're human. And this is a little flow chart that helps you understand, like, if this, then what, and just shows you where to go if you do feel stuck, because you're really not stuck. So you don't spiral into doubt and frustration. You could just use this little cheat sheet. And the third bonus is this energy architect process. It helps you set the vibe, shift the room, own the outcome before the meeting, before the pitch or event or dinner party or holiday. It helps you set the energy in your favor. It's a powerful guided experience, and you'll learn my signature rose technique to energetically clear and ground and bless any space so it supports your success and the highest and greatest good for you and everyone involved. Whether it is a boardroom or a Zoom room, you can walk in feeling centered and magnetic and in control, as we are all the architect of our own energy, right? So the Right Decision mini course is something I have been working on for a really long time. I'm so proud of it. It is only $27 because I also wanted to offer it at a price point that I felt could be really accessible for many people, for most people, to get these tools that I feel like is almost like the manual that we should have come into this world with, is how I believe it. So if you are interested in that, it's something that I have been pouring my heart and soul into, and I'm really excited about. I'll drop the link in the show notes, but you may have also seen it on socials. So I have crafted that mini course for you so that you can get grounded and clear and tune into your intuition yourself and get the answers that you need. Because the truth is, I don't think in this next little stretch of time that things are going to get any less chaotic. If anything, I think it's going to be even more of a pressure cooker as we step into the last chapter of this year and into the first chapter of next year. So that is what I've been working on. I do have some additional workshops that I'm brewing and tending to, that I'm working on for this last quarter of the year that's coming up, that you will hear about soon. So just know that even when it seems like maybe I'm on vacation or maybe I'm checked out, I'm really not. I take very little time off, actually, and I'm often writing or working on these classes or workshops or other ideas. And plus, the mediumship for me is still such a primary, important, and profound part of my work that I feel very blessed and lucky to be a part of. So that is a little bit about what has been going on with me right now, where I've been, why you maybe feel like you haven't seen me as much for a little bit. I still do the free monthly community healings every month. If you have not been able to make it to one of those, you can check out the website, and I try to list the dates in advance. But besides this mini course, which like I said, I think it is the playbook for everyone to get grounded and clear and tuned into our intuition and get the answers we need at any time. I have been really working so hard to get that out to you, and some additional workshops that are soon to come. Plus, there are some really fun conversations coming up on the podcast. So be looking forward to those. I'm really going to be sharing some more mystics and mediums and luminaries of our time with you here in the Spirit Speakeasy. And I'm just really grateful for you. I want to know, how was your summer? What is working for you right now? Are there any tools that you have that you've been finding in these last few months? Okay, this tool is really solid. This is working for me. Or are there any kind of gaps in the tools that you have been really realizing in the last few months? Okay, I need some clarity here, or I need to figure out how to get into my intuition here, or I am missing something or feeling a little stuck or blocked in this segment of my life. I want to know. I want to know what's going on with you too. This is not just a one-sided catch up. We are in this pod squad together, and you are just as important part of this energy as I am. So please know that you have my love and gratitude and appreciation. And I'm so grateful to be here with you. So now that we are approaching the end of August and buckling down for back to school season, which it still feels like to me, even though I don't have kids in school, whether you are in the northern hemisphere where we're getting ready to shift towards fall, or in the southern hemisphere where you guys are getting ready to shift towards spring, just know that I'm grateful to have you here with me. And I really want to keep cruising through this year with you and giving you things to think about, and energy to explore, and tools to play with, and hopefully some other souls that have been on their journeys that can give us just some food for thought and some inspiring conversations. So if there's anything you are wanting to hear about or learn about or grow into, I would love it if you would share it with me. You can leave it as a comment wherever you are listening to or watching the pod, or you can also email directly. You can send it to me, joy@joyfulmedium.com, or to admin@joyfulmedium.com, and we will get it either way. And lots of exciting things brewing for the rest of the year. So I'll drop the link to that $27 incredibly impactful mini course that I have in case you are saying, yes, I would like to be grounded and tune into my intuition intentionally and get clear guidance from my own soul. This is for you. I'll leave the link in the show notes. Plus, just know I'm so grateful to have you. I am right here in the action with you and cruising right along through the rest of this year. So I'm so grateful to you for being here and listening. And we have lots of things exciting coming up just around the bend. Big hugs, lots of love. Bye for now from inside Spirit Speakeasy.